So 20 of the best shots from this year's World Grand Prix. How many can I recreate and how accurately can I recreate them?
Welcome back, and if it's your first time watching one of our videos, then it's fantastic to have you here. After the World Grand Prix, I was watching Snooker Planet's compilation of the best 20 shots from this year's tournament. So to decide how tough these shots really are to play in the real world, I'll be attempting all 20 shots and trying to play all of them with the fewest attempts possible. I've even tried to recreate the exact same camera angles. I'll then be able to see how accurately I was able to recreate the shot, as well as seeing how difficult those shots are to play.
Now there's a reason I don't usually do 20 of these shots, and that's because it takes forever to edit. And the bad news is it's already Tuesday afternoon, so let's get on with it.
Beginning with this one from Graham Dott, where he manages to open the pack perfectly, leaving himself on a choice of reds. This shot's mainly about striking the right part of the cushion with a good amount of pace, but it's not quite as simple as that. Striking these reds doesn't guarantee you're going to be on one, and ideally you want to find your way into this little hole in the middle of them, which will move all the reds and almost guarantee you position.
As it turned out, you wanted to play this more of a stun shot and play it with the least amount of side possible. You didn't need to find that gap in the reds to open everything up, but that made sure you were going to be on one.
Neil Robertson now getting great position on the black from this excellent long red. Initially I thought this was a fairly straight shot, so I was a little bit surprised on my first attempt when I potted the red that the white went so far across the table. And of course I'm not only trying to pot the red here, I'm also trying to get position on the black. This was quite a clever shot from Neil, because playing it like this, it meant that even if he missed the red, he was very unlikely to leave anything on.
I couldn't believe actually from the angle how easy it was to stun the cue ball over this side of the table. And on that first shot, I thought I played it perfectly, but I just had too much pace on the cue ball.
Of course Ronnie was bound to turn up on this list somewhere, and here he is playing this red down the full length of the cushion. To pot these shots on a snooker table, you've got to get the ball as close to the cushion as you can without actually touching it. On my third attempt I managed to just rattle it in.
I know a lot of you are probably going to point out that my pockets are massive and that probably shouldn't have gone in. But before you do that, have a look at Ronnie's shot, because that wasn't exactly hugging the rail as it went into the pocket.
Judd Trump now with the first of his many appearances on this list. Not only does he manage to pot what is quite a tricky pink, he manages to avoid all the bulk colours and get in position on this single red on the top cushion. He couldn't really have found a way onto another red on this shot. I actually found this shot a little bit tricky because it needed quite a lot of left hand side to avoid the jaws of the corner pocket, but the problem was the more left hand side you put on the ball, the more likely you were to hit the jaws of the middle pocket. To get this shot to work, I actually had to play it as thin as I possibly could, and that made it a lot more challenging trying to pot the pink right into the corner of the pocket.
Not perfect position, and I think I caught the middle jaw on the way round, but it's potable, and I'm happy enough with that.
Mark Williams is always known for his excellent long potting, but not only does he manage to pot the red here, he also manages to screw across the table for the pink. And the one thing I wasn't expecting to do was slightly overplay this shot. After my second attempt, however, I noticed I'd missed out a red right at the back of the pack here. Really, this shouldn't have made any difference because it was completely out of the way of the shot. However, when I attempted my third shot, it went straight in the heart of the pocket and I finished on the pink.
Pretty happy with that really. Can't really call it my first attempt, but to pot 2 out of 3, that was quite good. I've been cueing those long shots a lot better recently, so yeah, pleased with it.
Watching in the United States of America is Connor from Nashville, Tennessee. Graham Dott had a great tournament, so expect to see a lot of him on this list, and with positional shots like this one, you can see why. I initially assumed you had to play this shot with a fair bit of right hand side, but after a few attempts I quickly realised that that was bringing the white far too wide and it was never going to hit the reds. So then I started playing shots just above centre with no side spin, and playing shots like that meant the cue ball would just very fractionally go wide of the reds, and as it turned out you needed a small trace of right hand side.
To start off with, I got the angle completely wrong. I thought I was going to have to spin it around the cushion to the side, and then I started putting unwanted side on the ball. It turned out it just needed a trace of right hand side. I'm not really on the red, but Graham wasn't perfectly on it either, so...
Kyron Wilson now with a pressure pot on this red off the top cushion. This shot is played as a stun run through, so the white will slow down when it makes contact with the red but not stop entirely. This will allow you to get position on the yellow, brown or possibly even the blue. What made this pot a lot more tricky though is Kyron would have known if he missed it he'd probably have lost the frame.
Not much to say about that one other than in that situation it was a good solid pot.
Another example of potting a pressure ball here with Graham Dott. He has no idea where the cue ball's going to go, but not only does he manage to pot 2 reds, he also manages to finish on the black. This took forever to try and finish on the black, so I've actually speeded it up. The pot itself wasn't that difficult, but there was just no way I could set up the balls well enough to get the cue ball to bounce out in exactly the same way. It seemed like nothing I did would make the cue ball finish on the black.
Gonna be honest with you, not sure how Graham ended up on the black on that shot, and since I've tried it about 10 times and it hasn't worked, I'm just gonna settle with being on the blue.
On this shot, Mark Williams isn't just able to make an accurate escape from this snooker, he's also able to pot the green on the same shot. This shot was actually a lot harder for me because I'm not left-handed and I couldn't quite reach the shot. So what I'm actually doing here is playing it with a small amount of right-hand side to square up the angle. The thing that seems to make Mark's escape so impressive though is if you don't hit the green absolutely full, whatever happens you seem to go in off and leave the green on. To actually play this shot well, you actually almost have to pot it.
Having to play that with side spin actually made it quite difficult, and I think I was a bit lucky that I actually potted the green so quickly, considering if I'd hit it in any other way it wouldn't actually have gone in, and I didn't really have that much control over it. But yeah, it was quite a difficult shot, that one.
Scott Donaldson needed this pressure black to take a big lead over Ding Junhui. To maximise the chances of these shots going safe, they're normally played as medium speed stun shots. Against a player like Ding, however, these are chances you do need to take because whatever happens you may not actually have another chance to pot the black and win the frame.
Good pot under pressure. The advantage of playing it in the way he did is it means the cue ball's going to come down here and it's more likely to be safe, although it's never guaranteed.
Kyron Wilson here was able to create a chance from close range. I wasn't 100% sure I got the balls in the right place here because I couldn't really see with everyone in the way, but I managed to pot one on my first attempt.
Quite a clever shot there really, because it meant he could attempt the pot without risking leaving anything on. The trick to playing those shots is to realise how much side spin you're putting on the ball, because just a trace of side can manoeuvre the red one way or the other on those types of shots.
Juan has been watching us from Mexico City in Mexico. Lang Wenbo manages to play this shot very accurately at a good speed. I really like this type of shot, so I really fancied my chances of getting it.
Happy to get that first time. Could have done with hitting it a little bit harder to get the white back into the table, but yeah, that's fairly good.
From rolling a ball into the middle pocket to powering it in, Scott Donaldson manages to pot the green here and find his way round 3 cushions and finish on a red. On this shot, all I'm looking to do is pot the green, spin the white round 3 cushions and finish on a red somewhere. However, this is a little bit more challenging than it sounds. It's difficult to pot the green at this pace into the middle pocket, but what makes it even more challenging is the right hand side I'm having to put on the ball. What I can't really reproduce, however, is if you really watch the video of Scott playing the shot, he seems to just very slightly catch the jaw, and that brings the white in closer to the reds. I can't manage to get it this close, but I managed to finish on the same red.
I think that's actually going to be one of the hardest shots to play on the list. Potting the green with that much power was difficult enough without the side and trying to spin it round 2 cushions. And I'm pretty confident that when he played that shot, he just caught the jaw on the way round.
Kyron Wilson again, this time with an excellent shot to nothing against Neil Robertson. Although it seems like you're screwing the ball back here, really you just got to stun it to the side cushion with a bit of side spin, and the spin will bring it back to bulk. The main objective of this shot is to try and get the cue ball safe, because the pot itself is very difficult, because you're having to play all the way across the table with a lot of side spin. This is one of those shots where you really need to get a feel for the table and have an understanding of how much the cue ball is going to react on the cloth before you have any chance of getting close to the pot.
Because I could use side spin off the cushion there, it's actually pretty easy to get the cue ball back down this end of the table. The difficulty was actually potting the ball with that much side spin on it, and there was a number of times I actually thought I potted it and it just rattled. That's probably the hardest shot I've had to play so far, definitely the hardest pot.
In this one shot alone, Ronnie not only shows us his potting accuracy, but also how well he can cue the ball, managing to get it right back to the top cushion. This one isn't exactly going to be easy. And I really don't mind admitting that I decided to warm up my cue action in ways I've shown in other videos before even attempting this shot, because in the past these have been the shots I haven't been able to get anywhere near.
That was actually a really difficult pot playing it in that sort of way, and though I didn't get the white back as far as Ronnie, I actually prefer my shot on the black here.
Alfie has been watching these videos from Chesterfield in the United Kingdom. But Kyron Wilson hasn't gone anywhere as he manages to pot this nearly straight yellow and force the cue ball off 2 cushions to find position on the green. This is one of those shots that's already incredibly challenging, but it's made even more so by the fact that my table is nowhere near as fast as what you'd see on TV. This meant that I basically had to play this shot about as hard as I could actually play it, and I also discovered that you don't really want to be bouncing the cue ball, because the more you bounce the cue ball, the more pace it seems to take out of the white. And if I could make it run on what looked like perfectly flat, it would almost go twice as far.
I couldn't have hit that any better, I don't think. I've still only just got far enough to pot the green here. But I'm on it and it went in, so yeah, that's okay.
Graham Dott with his tricky black to continue his impressive comeback in the final against Neil Robertson. I reckon I can make this one look very similar.
I reckon I can get this all perfect, including the little jump halfway through it. Pretty happy to get all of that first time and recreate it pretty much perfectly. The only thing was, it turns out he didn't jump up off the shot, he just stood up a little bit. But, you know, other than that...
Mark Selby now with an incredibly brave shot, playing a red in off, one close to the pocket. With the white right under the top cushion, this is an incredibly difficult shot to play, and Mark would have had the added pressure of knowing if he'd missed this, he'd almost definitely lose the frame. What I was saying here before the sound broke is that it was probably an easier shot for Mark to play the red directly into the pocket, but the reason he played it as an in-off was this meant he could play it straighter and get the white over to where it is now, rather than closer to the blue where he may not have been in position. Judd Trump now using one of his exhibition shots to get on a red here. This one really isn't going to be easy to play because it probably will need all of my cue power to get anywhere near here. It's probably slightly easier to screw the cue ball to the bolt cushion here if you play it with a small trace of right hand side.
Oh, I'm on a red.
But unfortunately on this shot you can't do that.
The position's coming off a treat. Just the wrong side of the table.
The problem is, if the cue ball catches the bolt cushion with side spin, it'll probably slow it down or possibly even catch the yellow, completely ruining the shot. I can play this, but to do so I need to cue it perfectly.
Oh, there we go. Come on. Well, that ain't bad. It's only 6 foot short.
And the danger is you'll put side spin on the ball when you're not even trying.
Again, the wrong side of the table. I don't know why he just didn't play that. This seems like a pretty easy shot. Hit the wrong side of the pocket. That might have been close. Check side. You don't want to put right hand side on it, and I keep putting right hand side on it. Come on. To be honest with you, I'm happy with that. Not 100% perfect, but close enough. I thought I was only going to be able to get the whip on it, not actually get it back down this end of the table. And the fact that I'm actually on a red is ideal. As you know, I've been working on my cueing a lot recently, so I can actually play these types of shots, and it seems to be working out.
For the final shot we're back to Gary Wilson again, creating a chance for himself by swerving round the blue. This is the sort of shot that I will get over time, it's just a question of how long it'll actually take me. It's a comfortable enough swerve, so really it's all about pace.
Actually a little bit easier than I thought it was going to be that, although the idea of getting it on your first attempt isn't. So there you go, all good shots, but I think the 3 standout shots for me was Ronnie's red, Kyron's yellow and Judd's pink. And although Judd's pink was incredibly fun to play and Ronnie's red was very difficult to pot at that angle, I think the hardest shot for me to play was the yellow that Kyron had and seemed to simply just force off 2 cushions to get on the green. I'm going to say that to me was by far the hardest shot to play, so I'm going to say that was the shot of the tournament for me.
But that was only because I feel that was the hardest one to play, so let me know what your favourite shot was, and if you want to see more of me recreating shots from tournaments, have a look at these videos, and remember, don't just watch, play, and make the commitment to becoming a better player by subscribing to the channel and visit the website. See you later.